Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Qualified Podcast. With me today is Melinda Thomas with her business, Charming Maids. Melinda, thank you so much for taking the time and being here to share your story with us.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I'm very happy to be here and to do this.
Excellent. So let's just get some basic background on who you are, where were you born, where'd you grow up, and things of that nature.
Sure. So Melinda Cooper, who's my maiden name, got married 2 years ago, but I grew up in Hamden, Connecticut, with my both my parents, two of my siblings, and then had a great childhood. Stayed in Connecticut all the way up until the age of 35. So that's high school, undergrad, grad, everything in Connecticut. And then I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and been there. I was there for about 15 years before I met my husband, who was living in Georgia at the time, and then I moved to Georgia.
Excellent. So, as a kid, what were some of your favorite things to do? Did you think business was going to be your
No,
lifelong goal?
not at all. As a kid, I enjoyed sports. I played the clarinet, so I was in the orchestra. Never thought and I love helping people. So I actually ended up going to nursing school. And
Okay.
then so that was like my first passion. I was going to be a nurse. That was going to be it. But then life, as you grow up, throws you a lot of curveballs. So I did a couple pivots, and I ended up in nursing school, but I ended up having a child. And that kind of threw things off a little bit. And then I went into business school, just so I can finish on time. And from there, I went and worked with a company, a Fortune 500 company, for 21 years. And then I that company unfortunately laid us off, my department off for 21 years. And then that's when I decided, oh, well, maybe I should try this venture. But never in a million years did I ever think that I would be owning a cleaning company. Wasn't on my radar, definitely wasn't on my bingo card, but here I am.
Well, I know how hard nursing is. My wife is a nurse herself, so I
Oh,
I can imagine how hard it was for you, now having a child come in and trying to finish all your classes and get started with going into finding a hospital to hire you and all that. So I know it's tough, but you persevered, you made the change. And unfortunately, with the business that you worked for, things like that happen all the time. People think that getting a career job is the quote unquote safer option, but
yeah, for sure. You
even
can
even
you
more
can
so
tell me.
now, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, no, if I told my dad, I remember, because so my parents are old school. So they were the type that you get one job and you work that job for the rest of your life. So I told him, I said, this job is gonna have to take me out kicking and screaming. I'm gonna retire from here. That was a dream because I worked my way up the corporate ladder. So I really thought this was it. But no, they came knocking on our door and they said we all had to go or we had to move to another state. And at that time in my life, I wasn't prepared to do that. So I ended up taking the severance package and leaving.
Very hard decisions. And was this recently?
This was in 2019.
Okay.
Yes.
So already about 6 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you miss it?
Um, Yes, there are days I miss it because there were some people who did choose the option to stay. And so I'm Facebook friends with them, or just in passing, I would see them and I'm hearing them like, oh, celebrating 30 years. And I'm like, oh, that could have been me. That could have been me. And then, as an entrepreneur, it's tough some days. So I do miss the steady paycheck. I miss, knowing at the end of the day or at the end of the week, I'm going to have this amount of money. In entrepreneurship, that can vary sometimes. So I do
Absolutely.
miss that aspect of it. So yeah. And then just the other benefits that came along with it. But I like my freedom too. So you can't have both, I guess.
No, that's in the beginning, it's a struggle
It
for
is.
every entrepreneur to get started. to know where the next dollar is going to come from, it's hard. But once you get rolling and once you get all your systems in place and you really start to see your freedom, nothing beats that.
That's for
Especially
sure.
having kids, being able to do stuff with your kids, like it's amazing for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody in your family business owners that could have helped you in your transition process?
Yeah, so I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandmother was actually the first Black hair salon owner in Hemingway, South Carolina. She also
Wow.
had a flower shop in Hemingway, South Carolina. So I can say it definitely started with my grandparents. But in my immediate family, my sister, Orcella, she is like the queen of entrepreneurs. She wears the hat. She has several different businesses. She's thriving. She's doing extremely well. So I knew that just watching her. I remember one day I was staying with her because moved to Charlotte, came home to visit, and I just saw her working at her desk like nonstop. Like she got up at 8 and it was like 5 o'clock and she was still going. And I was like, wow, she didn't take any breaks. She didn't have any lunch. This is crazy. But I see the work that she put in and I see the results, and she's killing it, man. She's I look up to her. I call her all the time. I've even went to different people that she's mentored and asked them, well, how is it working with her? How does she do it? What does she say? And she's always dropping little nuggets to me. She's actually the one that pushed me because I was teetering with the cleaning business. I was like kind of playing with it, putting my toe in the water, and then all of a sudden she makes a Facebook post because she has such a huge following. And she's like, my sister just launched the cleaning company. I'm like, I did? I'm like, wait. She's like, no, 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 you did, you did. So then I'm like, okay. And so I look to her a lot for advice, help, and encouragement. She definitely encourages me. She's also a preacher, a minister, so we have that Christian background that kind of helps us going. We put God, with everything in our business, and we put him first. And I think that's what helped me keeps me grounded a lot. So definitely my sister.
That's amazing, especially, seeing your grandma do it first and being able to look up to her and now you and your sister. It's amazing to see the generations that the entrepreneur gene falls through and all the different businesses that get started
Hmm.
through one another and all the help that you guys give each other.
For sure.
um Not just being family. Experience, background, you went for nursing, you pivoted towards business. Was it just business management degree, marketing,
Um,
accounting?
It was business management because I also like to do hair on the side as well. Huh, little
Okay.
grandmother hair. So I always had like a taste for hair, but the way I was raised, it was always high school, college, no matter what. And my parents really didn't like the trade route. They really pushed college, really pushed it. So I kind of did hair on the side. I kind of self taught myself to do a lot of things. And I would get different licenses that would allow me to do different things. So even after being laid off, and thinking about where my next paycheck or where my next dollar is going to come from, I did do hair on the side. I did work in a salon in Charlotte as a stylist assistant for a while too. So when I went to school, it was definitely on the business management side that just kind of helped, I guess, kind of get me familiar with how to run a business, what things are needed, what skill set, what knowledge. That definitely helped me. Again, not thinking that I would own my own thing. It's just I was like, I have to go to college because that's what I was told I had to do. I need to get a degree, and that was just like the easier pace at that time in my life. So that's where I went.
And looking back on it now that you have started your business, do you think what you learned in those courses have helped you now?
I think so, but I also think it was a trial and error, which was the biggest lesson, because I didn't really know what I was doing. Of course, I took a couple courses, I did a couple cohorts, but really don't know what you're doing until you kind of touch the fire. And you make the mistakes and then you learn from the mistakes. So there were some things, because I at one point I thought I was going to open a day spa. It was going to be a half a salon, half a day spa. And I remember one of my projects in my master's program was that. And that kind of fell by the wayside again because of all the life just life sometimes, and it throws different curveballs. And so um I definitely can say during that time that program taught me just a lot about business, but you don't get the real lessons until you are actually out there and doing it.
It's just like you said, it touch fire, you reactionary. Kids learning, figuring out things. We're just big kids learning every day something new, especially when our life throws a wrench in it, and trajectory changes. It's hard, even with all the knowledge that's out there. You
Yeah.
could try it and it might not even work. So whatever
Yes.
you do might be different and it could work then. So all that could be helpful, but it's a good baseline to have, right? It's a good to be
Sure.
like, okay, do it like this. And also reaching out to family and friends who might have done it before as well is a huge help. Going towards now, when you started, when did you start Charming Maids?
I started, so then here's the other part of my story. And it's so funny because I did work with a mentor and he's like, "What's your story?" And I'm like, "I don't have a story." He's like, "Everyone has a story." And I remember speaking to him and I was like, "That's my story?" Oh, so basically what happened is after I got laid off in 2019, before I got laid off, I had some medical issues that I had to be taken care of. And so I decided, well, this is the perfect time to do it. I'm being laid off, and um I still have the insurance with the severance package. Everything is going to work out fine. It's a standard procedure. Everything's going to be great. And I went had the surgery done, and it ended up being a terrible mishap. I was actually hospitalized for a very long time, and my recovery was extremely long. So now I'm laid off, and I'm in the hospital, and I have to have family come down and take care of me.
Oh my goodness.
So it actually was a nightmare. So I ended up. So the surgery was in February. I didn't really get back on my feet and able to do much until maybe November of
Oh my gosh.
2019. So I always tell people I don't remember 2019. I lost it. So I remember in January of 2020, I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be my year because I lost 2019. Everything is going to be great. I can't wait." And then here comes COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I lost the whole year and I thought I was going to do all these great, amazing things." And then COVID came. And so I had time to sit and think about like what my next steps were going to be. And I remember I had met this guy online, Rohan, and he was doing like a cohort on cleaning businesses, and I had took it before and then I didn't do anything with it, and then I was like, let me pick this back up, because I was looking for jobs and nothing was, and when you're home that long it's like, I don't want to go back in the office. Let me see what else is out there. And so I actually that's when I was talking to my sister, and so she was like, just go ahead and do it. And the other thing I would point out is when I was sick, everyone was coming down to take care of me. I didn't want them to have to clean the house. They were doing so much and I was feeling so guilty. So I started looking for cleaning companies just around my area for someone to clean my house so that my parents didn't have to do it. And I couldn't find anyone. It was just like craziest thing ever. I'm like, oh my gosh, there was no good cleaning companies in my area, or they wanted to come to the house and do. And I'm like, I can barely walk. Like, I don't need you coming in. Like, I just need you to come clean. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's when the light bulb kind of went in my head about the program I took with Rohan. And so I started playing around and I reached out to him again, and he's like, I actually have the same program that's about to start another cohort right now. And I'm like, oh, perfect timing. And so I did the program with him and I actually stuck with it. So after my sister put me on blast in February, of 2020, that's when I actually launched. So after her Facebook post, I made a real Facebook post and saying that I launched, and I think I put something on Yelp, and I got a call on February 14th of my first client. So the day I put a post out there, somebody contacted me for cleaning. And I'm like, I don't have a mop. I didn't have anything. I don't even have cleaners. Like, what is happening? And that's kind of how we came to fruition. My business wasn't even set up legally. Like literally I had a Facebook page, and I don't even think I had a Facebook page. I think it was just my personal page just saying that I had a company. I just had a name, no LLC, wasn't even legit. And someone was like, "Hey, I need a cleaning today." And I'm like, "Okay." And I ran to Walmart and bought probably $500 worth of stuff that I didn't need because I didn't know. So I bought all this stuff, and I bought this big old like plastic bin, and then not thinking, how are you going to carry a broom, a vacuum? And the guy had a studio apartment. Why I bought all that stuff to this day, I don't know. But went there and cleaned my first client. And then the next day I got another one, and it just started rolling in. And I was just like, this is strange, but it's happening. So it's February of 2020 during COVID is when I started.
And then COVID happened, and cleaning services were essential as hell.
Listen, COVID was I don't want to say the biggest blessing because I know there was a lot of lives lost, but
Yes.
from
In
a
business
business,
sense.
yeah,
Yes.
for a business sense, it just like catapult. It just went, it skyrocketed. It happened quicker than I expected. And then that's when I decided I need help. So I was pulling in family and friends, and that doesn't work. So then I was
No.
pulling in because at that point I didn't even know how to price my cleanings. My pricing structure was all messed up. I didn't know how to pay people. So I really had to like sit, and I probably was in Rohan's inbox like every day. I'm like, what do I do now? What do I do? What do I say? What do I do this? And he was so patient with me and really held my hand throughout this whole process. And then I just started joining a whole bunch of Facebook groups and just reading what they're doing and what people are doing. And so it came fast, but it came with a lot of stress. I will say that. And then I have such a large community of family and friends. They were telling everyone that I was open. So when I say I was being poured down with clients, that I wasn't even like thinking like, oh shoot, I'm not licensed, I'm not insured, I'm not legal. Like the stuff that needs to be done wasn't even happening because I was just trying to keep up with the calls that were coming in, and the money's great, but you got to set yourself up and make sure that you're protected.
Absolutely. So, what would you say the inspiration was then for the cleaning service?
I think it was actually the surgery that went bad was the inspiration because I was able to kind of find my lane. My dad has always said, so there's four of us. Five of us, excuse me. My dad always said that I was the one that would always go the scenic route through life. He's like, out of all my kids, you're the one that's gonna go this way. and and I think my life really had so many twists and turns and pivots, and um I think it was just God, I lost my train of thought of what I was saying. Repeat the question. I know I had a good
Your
point. I just can't remember.
your inspiration to start. What was
Oh
your
yeah.
inspiration to start?
I honestly think it was the surgery that went bad. Because without that, then I don't think I would have started a cleaning company because I wasn't using cleaning services myself. So I think by me being laid up and seeing that there was a need, seeing that in my own area I couldn't find anyone, that was definitely the inspiration.
And when you started, how much did you invest?
$500, which I know sounds like everyone's typical story, but it really was $500.
And in your own words, it was essentially $500 too much because you spent it all on supplies that you didn't even need.
Yes, exactly. $500 was my investment. Yes.
What do you think you could have done that first apartment studio cleaned in? 50?
Yeah, probably 50. Yeah, I went a little overboard. And I know I went overboard because when I moved from Charlotte to Georgia to after I got married, I still had some of those same cleaning products.
You didn't want to try and use it at your home, or you probably tossed it somewhere in the back of a closet and forgot about it and got too busy with the business.
I literally bought too much. That was the problem. And then I ended up hiring subcontractors. And with subcontractors, you can't provide them with supplies.
Right.
So I ended up having so much of the product left over. So yeah. My husband was like, "My gosh, I knew you had a cleaning company, but I didn't know you were selling products." I'm like, "No, this is just what I bought."
So after you got settled with all the bookings, all the money coming in, and now you needed to get legal, get your LLC, your business, your website up, how much did you spend there?
Oh, it was very minimal, less than 100. Because I think the website was like 39. Getting the domain was inexpensive. Having someone host the website, so maybe less than 100 to no more than 150 to get everything set up.
And what about the legal fees of getting the LLC up?
That was so long ago. Well, in North Carolina, that is a little pricey, so that was about $250.
So under 500.
Definitely under 500.
Okay. So I'll be honest. The way you did it would be the way I would tell anybody to start. If you're looking to
Really?
start it, whether it's a cleaning service, dog walking, dog poop pickup, whatever service business it is, before it's viable, why waste all the time, energy, money, and all that effort of doing everything when you might try it and not like it in 2 weeks, and now you spent $500 or $1,000 and all that time, and now you gave up? Slap it up create a Facebook page, even if not, even don't do that. Your own personal Facebook page, like you did.
Hmm.
Go in
That's very
Facebook
true.
groups, post there, or post for your friends and family. They'll spread the word and get started like that. Once you start getting bookings, then be like, okay, do I like it? Yes. Here's my course, my action plan. And then within a week or two, go set it up. The
Okay.
IRS is not going to become knocking for $100 here and there when you first started.
Right.
So figure it out first. You
Hmm.
want to do this? Go ahead, post it on your Facebook page, and then figure out your name after. People worry about too much about the name, the logo, the colors, what my website's going to look like before they
Right.
even start doing anything.
Right.
Jump right into it, figure it out, and then all that could come second. So you're one of the first people in the last 2, 3 years that I've been doing these interviews. I've interviewed over 50 people. And I think you're the first one to say that you did it this way.
Oh, okay.
And I've been waiting. I really have been waiting because it seems like this to me that would be the best option. Just jump right into it, and like I already said, you don't have to spend all that time and money figuring it out if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to stick to it, right?
Right, right. I guess when you look at it that way, it does make sense. But I was so afraid because, again, I had joined so many Facebook groups. So I was hearing like the horror stories of, employees versus subcontractors and IRS and taxes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am like running this operation so wrong. I don't want to get, in any type of trouble. And this is my only source of income. So that's when I really was like, yeah, let's kind of sit down and take care of these things, but it wasn't
Right.
immediately.
Don't prolong it, but the moment like, okay, I got to get it together,
Yeah.
tighten it up. A month, I think you'll be fine doing it for a month, figuring it all out, and then
Mhm.
picking a day to get everything set. So you're 5 years in now.
Yes.
What have you done in revenue since you started in total?
About 650K.
Okay. And
Yeah.
first year, do you remember what you did your first year?
My first year was 87,000.
Wow, those are great numbers in one location.
One location. One
And
location.
how many providers did you have?
Oh gosh, we had about 10 providers. 10
Okay.
I started off with 10 providers, and then right now I have about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you on track to do this year alone?
This year we're probably going to hit the 200K mark, which will be the biggest our biggest year. But we did a lot to get there. We did
Sure.
we did a
And
lot to get there.
during 21, 22, when things started to level off a little bit, there were still mandates, but obviously the first, I'd say March through June, when everything was heaviest with lockdowns, that was probably where you were making a big amount. How did it taper
Yes.
off? Did it taper off or did it drop drastically year 2 or 3?
It tapered off. It definitely
Okay.
tapered off. And then once I realized, so now I'm kind of like I got my toes in, both feet are in now. And I noticed that I was making more money on the commercial side. So
Okay.
I was working part-time at a salon, and it's a very heavily used, very popular, very high-end salon that had different suites in it. So you talk about customers. I really didn't do any marketing because just me being there, and I was the cleaner for that salon suite. That's where all my business came from. So I had other small businesses that were coming to get their hair done that needed people for to clean their businesses. And so because it was the heighten of COVID around that time, they wanted to make sure that there was a professional cleaning company in their place. Things started to, like, I would say, dip towards um maybe like summertime. That's when I noticed that, some people were kind of scaling back. That's when, the economy was getting kind of rocky, and I was getting less weekly, but bi-weekly customers, recurring customers. They were going to monthly or bi-monthly. That's when I noticed things were starting to kind of fade away a little bit. And then that's when we jumped back in and we sprung in. We was like, we got to get more commercial accounts because one, their doors are always open. Two, they always need cleanings. So that's where our focus was heavily on the small businesses. So salons, um, barbershops, anything like in those areas. We did a lot of like the eyebrows, lash, small businesses, nothing like a doctor's office or a bank or anything like that. But we stayed really in that area of beauty.
And you till today, would what would you say the split is between residential and commercial, or are you just fully commercial?
It's about a good, I still probably I do more commercial, more residential than commercial. So it's probably like a 60/40
Okay.
on the residential
And
side.
of that residential, how much percent of that is recurring?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
How much percent of the residential side is recurring versus one time?
Oh gosh, maybe 95%. It's pretty high.
So you have a high convert from your first time one times to recurring.
No, recurring is higher than one times.
Right. I'm saying you have a good conversion over from having
Yes,
people sign up one time and now you get them into that recurring service.
correct. Yes, yes.
What would you attribute that to? Because that's hard to do. I know a lot of people focus on getting one times to recurring, but with 95%, that's very, very, very good. So, what is the secret sauce that you have for that?
I don't even know if it's a secret sauce, but I will say it's word of mouth, and I really have some really good contractors. The work itself kind of speaks for volumes. So they come in for like one cleaning, and our process in place as far as our communication with the customer from the time they sign up with us, we're constantly just communicating, maybe over communicating, but we constantly let them know that we're here, this is what's going on. And when I look at some of our reviews, I notice that mostly everybody says that they like other than the cleaning, they like the fact that we're readily available, and they always know what's going on, and so they feel safe. But it's really word of mouth. It's honestly, like I said, I haven't done like the Facebook ads, the Google ads, not to say that we shouldn't, because I know we should, but it's the referrals from other people who have used our services. So a lot of times people will call and they will say, hey, so and so referred me, they use you, what are they getting or what are they doing? Or they'll say so and so is using you, I want to get the same thing they're getting. It's biweekly. Can I do it? So they kind of call. We're at the point now where people just kind of call and ask what the other person is getting, and they want to get the same thing.
And I see it with you. The way we have this interview going, you're very easygoing, very easy to talk to. So, I'm sure that's the same way you are with potential clients, customers, and working in the salon, when you're talking with them as well. It seems very easy to give you the business the way you handle and present yourself. So, I think that might be more of the secret sauce than anything else.
I'll take that. No, I'm just kidding.
The one thing that every business has is challenges. You started at one of the most challenging times that any of us can possibly ever remember.
Yes.
Um, what have you faced? What have you done to overcome those challenges?
Um, so the biggest challenge was, especially during COVID, was people afraid to let people in their home. Um, or they didn't want, because again, I use subcontractors, they wanted the same person in their home. So what I had to do is, unfortunately, there were some subcontractors that I had to let go, because they either just didn't fit what was happening. I mean, they didn't fit the goal or fit the aesthetic of how I wanted the company to run. And so if I would get complaints, which I got complaints a lot, people wanted everyone to wear shoe covers, when they enter their home, or they wanted them to wear masks, and some people didn't want to wear masks. People who just didn't want to go by, I don't want to say those simple things, because everybody has their own, vices or whatever, but I had to find new contractors. And so one thing I learned, like I said, I started with 10, and then it just started to dwindle out, because I'm like, okay, this person's not a fit, this person isn't a fit. And I wouldn't get rid of someone like after one or two. It had to be like a lot of customers saying the same thing. um, then I knew that we had to constantly keep hiring. And that's something that I did not do initially. I was like, oh, we're fine with these people. But then I'm noticing, okay, we're getting more clients than we have, cleaners. And I didn't want to clean. So I'm like, we got to figure something out here. So I noticed that I just had to always keep keep cleaning or keep hiring, but also not so much hiring on skill set, but also hiring on personality. Because I feel like you can kind of tell someone or teach someone, how to clean. But if they don't have like the right personality, I think that is going to be like the biggest mistake you can do for your company, especially if you have a certain aesthetic. And at that point, we were known as like a luxury cleaning company, whatever that means. So I wanted to make sure that we were falling in line and everybody was on the same accord without crossing that employer employee subcontractor, gray area.
The gray area is a big part, especially with home services and contractors. There's very little that you can tell them to do where you don't want to get caught with the government, because I know certain
Yes.
states are a lot more picky and finicky, and they will come down at you hard if you don't do something a certain way. They'll be like, no, that's classified as an employee now, and they'll slap a fine on you, and it'll
Yeah.
be a whole mess. So definitely, it's not just you, it's industry wide that hiring and marketing are always the two things that go hand in hand.
Right. Right. And
With
I have an operations manager that does a really good job at the marketing. I know we can be doing so much better. I know that, but I'm kind of good at where we are right now. And one thing my sister has always taught me, she was like, never let your business get ahead of you. That she's always preached that to me, because my brain will go. I'm always like looking for the next big thing and what I can do next. She's like, hold on, slow down. Are you ready for that? Can you do that? Are you ready? And she's always like stopping me in my tracks, and she'll say, don't ever let the business get ahead of you. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll scale back. So when I know the time is ready for us to pull that marketing plug, then I will.
and you have 5 providers now,
Yes.
1 office staff,
Yes. My daughter.
and yourself.
Yes.
Okay. How do you keep up company morale with everyone? Your daughter a little, I'd say a little different, just because having a family member dynamic, especially office style, might get tricky. But I'm sure she teaches you things with having a young personality, and stuff changes all the time. I know I have my 13-year-old nephew teaching me things, and I'm like, we need to slow down here. This is too much.
Right. Right.
So how do you keep that morale with everybody up?
Honestly, I think it's my personality. I'm really big on knowing what they're doing outside of cleaning. So you'll get a phone call from me, you'll get a text from me. I'll ask about your mom, I'll ask about your children and what you have going on. For birthdays, you're gonna get a gift from me. You're gonna get something at Christmas. And so we do have like a group chat where we're all a part of, and I make sure that they know that every day I let them know you're appreciated. Thank you for this. What can I do for you? My door is always open. I make sure that they know that this is a comfortable place environment to work in. I make sure that they have a livable income. um I make sure the communication is top tier, and my daughter does the same way. So I actually don't even live in the US. So I'm here in the US on vacation, but I don't live in
Okay.
the US. I live 12 hours ahead of the US. And
Where do you
sometimes,
live?
I live in New Delhi, India.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
What? So what's the reason for New Delhi?
Again, I'm that child. So after I got married, my husband works for the State Department, the Foreign State Department, and
Okay.
so he works in IT. And so after we got married, literally after we got married, we get the phone call that his next assignment is in New Delhi, India, and we had 30 days to pack up our house in Georgia, move to DC so he can do whatever training he needed to do, and then we're in New Delhi.
Wow. And
So
how long have you been in New Delhi now?
2.5 years. 2.5 years. Yeah, yeah. And that when that tour is over, we're going to another country, which is going to be even further. So we move around every 2.5 to 3 years.
So you're coming up on it.
Yeah, that's why I'm home. So we have
Okay.
to, so they allow us to do a home break. So you get to come home, spend some time with family and friends before they ship you off again to your next assignment.
Are
And
you allowed to
so
say
we're
where
not,
you're going next?
no, because it's considered a dangerous post. So we can't say too much. I can't even put it on social media.
Oh wow. Well, I hope that you guys all stay safe and
Thank you.
everything works out. Um, but wow, that's so interesting. I mean, did I know I've interviewed so many people who run the businesses remotely, in different states in the US. But halfway around the world, where the time zone is 12 hours ahead, you're working at night at your home while
Yes.
everybody is awake here.
Yeah. And then to make matters worse, the time difference, I decided to get a job in India as well. so
What do you do? What do
so
you do there?
so I became the administrative assistant in the economic affairs office. So I literally sat with the ambassador. So my role was very high profile over there. So I was the administrative assistant, and sometimes I would go to other consulates and sit in and be the administrative assistant over there as well. They call them OMSs, which is an office manager specialist. But because I'm not the foreign service officer, my husband is, then I was able to apply and get that job. So, and in my office, I cannot bring any electronics in the office. So, yeah, I had to hire someone, and that's when Michaela kind of came in.
Wow, that's so interesting. I love that.
Yeah.
And do you would you continue? I mean, I know it's your husband's work, so as long as he's doing it, you're going to keep continuing to travel every couple of years. But do you ever wish that you were just stateside the whole time and
Oh
running
no.
it from
I'm sorry, we're
no?
breaking up and it could be my connection. Can you repeat that?
I know it's very interesting with the travel every couple of years. I know your husband, it's his work. And he has to keep doing it. But is there ever a part of you where you're like, I wish you homesick? You want to run the business stateside? Or, going back to what you said about your dad telling you in your personality, you're always going to take the long path. So, does this fit you more being traveling every couple years and you don't really see yourself coming back stateside to change things up?
So I got probably half of what you said because of our connection. So I'll try to answer it as best as I can. No, my husband is close to retirement. he
Okay.
already he already retired with the army. So this is a second career for him, and he's at the tail end of this job here. So we probably have about 5 more years left of this before we'll be back permanently. But who knows? I mean, we have a new administration in the office right now, so we don't know what's kind of going on, in Washington. But right now, it's
Sure.
looking like 5 more years. I'll be honest with you. When we first got to India, I told him and I told my daughter, I can't do this. This was before I decided to continue. It was just too much stress. I was missing phone calls because I didn't hire anyone. It was really just me running everything at that point, with my daughter at that time just doing very minimal because she has her own career. She's a graphic designer. And so I told them, I said, this is just too much. The time difference. I'm missing calls. I'm missing opportunities. I'm not on the ground. If somebody wants to do a walkthrough, I obviously can't do it. I'm sleeping when they're up. They're up when I'm sleeping. It just wasn't working. And then that's when my daughter, who just like she said, I will not let you give this up. She was like, I saw you build this thing. I saw you crying. I saw you with restless nights. She's like, I will do what I have to do until you get back to make sure that this stays afloat. And that year was 23. That was our biggest year. We jumped like 62% in revenue that year. And I was
Wow.
just like, wow, I can't believe I was going to close the door on this. And I remember a separate conversation with my father. I'm a daddy's girl. A separate conversation with my father, and he said, don't give up everything. Make sure you have something that you can always have that's yours. And that always played in the back of my head. I didn't want to, because I've always worked hard my entire life. I always had my own. I never even thought I was going to get married. This guy magically appeared out of nowhere. And it happened, and I was really ready at that point to just sit back. I'm like, oh, I can chill out now. I got a partner. But then my daughter was like, nope, I will not let you quit. I won't let you close down shop. Nothing. She was like, whatever I have to do. And when I say she stepped up, I would not even have the business if it wasn't for her. She has stepped up. She has put on whatever hat that I had. She took it and she ran with it and she killed it. and she's killing it. So I owe it all to her. I really do.
Well, shout out to your daughter for killing it and keeping you going, because it takes a village. It's hard. It's
It
doing
is.
it solo with no partner, no business partner. She's essentially your business partner now.
She is. She is. She is. I definitely, and I brought her on as such. I was like, I can't take any credit. You're the one that's keeping the wheels moving here. So I definitely, so now she's 50% owner of the company now.
That's amazing. I love that. I hope I'm not too forward with this next question. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. How is it being a woman of color living in another country on the other side of the world, so far away from family?
Honestly, we have no issues. So being a US diplomat, that's what they consider us. It's a lot of perks in India. Living in India does have its challenges. Now, I've been sick a lot from the food and the water. Um, but apart from that, the I've never experienced any type of issues with racism. They actually greet us. I do have a house staff, so I do have a housekeeper here that cleans every day. We have a driver. It's actually great living over there. I'll be honest with you. The Medicare, because I was hospitalized. I've been sick a lot, so I was hospitalized over there. And even then, the care was just 100% just on point. I had no issues. I do have some friends that live there that have had different experiences, but I can't speak to those challenges because not one time have I ever experienced anything. Now, when you are in a foreign country, people do stare, and I expect that because I used to travel to different countries before living out here. So people would stare, but you just stare back and then they stop staring. So, you know, it's been a blessing. We're treated with respect. I've never gone to a restaurant or a hotel and been turned away. It's kind of different being over there than in the US, and it's cheap. You guys are expensive over here. I came back. I was like, eggs are what?
Yeah,
$12? Gas is what? I didn't have those issues. I was able to get like Motrin over there for like $2. My allergy medicine was like $1.50. Over here, they want $30. I'm like, oh my gosh.
it's
So
eye opening. It really
it,
is on all aspects of it, and I'm glad to hear that you have a great relationship there with everybody. Um,
yeah, it's going to be very
it's
sad when
it's
we leave.
refreshing. And do you know? Well, you said it's coming up to a close, so you're kind of when you're leaving.
August 7th.
It's very soon.
Very soon. So I get this time in with family, and it was really good to see my mom because she's a little under the weather. She actually just came home from the hospital last night. So
That's good to hear. Hope she's doing
yeah,
well.
she's doing well. She's doing well. So that was an unexpected turn of events, but I'm glad I was home for that. Um, but yeah, August 7th, and then we're back out, and it's hot over there. But it's hot in Texas too. That's where I'm currently am right now. It's hot here too.
I was gonna say you must have the AC going real well with wearing the hoodie in Texas.
So, story about that. I was gonna put the T-shirt on, but I couldn't find it. I'm living out of suitcases right now.
Oh, that's good. Coming back a
And
little bit
thank you,
towards,
by the way.
you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Um, Let me know what size your daughter wants in a hoodie and shirt, and we'll send her one as well for being a
Oh,
co-partner.
thank you. Thank you for that. I
Yeah,
definitely
of
will.
course.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier that when you were starting the cleaning business, you looked for one for yourself. When you were home from the hospital, you didn't want family cleaning. There was nobody in your area really to do the cleanings. So, how is it now, 5 years later after you started? How is competition in your area, and how are you handling that?
Ooh, I think Rohan must have grabbed everyone in Charlotte because now the competition is fierce. I think there's a cleaning company every corner now. They're out there, and then there's solo cleaning companies. There's bigger companies, franchises. I'm like, where were you guys in 2019? But they're everywhere now. It's crazy. But what sets us apart is the type of cleaning we do. We're very, very detailed. We're very responsive. We communicate, like I said, over communicate. We also give out, gifts, to our recurring customers. I think we just kind of set the bar a little hot different. You can go to our website, which is Free Book and Koala, and it's easy for someone to log in, and if they have any questions, they'll reach out to us. But 9 times out of 10, people are just booking right online because it's really black and white. So I don't I do see lately, because I think because of the economy, I do see people kind of like kicking tires around, seeing if they can get the best deal. And I just had someone on in a Facebook group actually a couple days ago. She said, oh, you're more expensive than what I thought. But then I explained to her why we're expensive and what we can deliver. And she was just like, okay, send me the link. And I just went into Booking Koala, drafted up the quote, sent her the link. And before I knew it, I had an email that we had a new booking.
Love to hear that, especially when you're utilizing all the features with booking the quote links and everything in the system. Have you seen any of the competitors also using Booking Koala?
Yes. Yes. And actually, one of my really good friends in Charlotte, she actually just opened a cleaning business and she uses Booking Koala. And then there's another woman that I met. I'm not even sure how I met her, but we started talking and she's like, oh, I want to open up a cleaning company. And I was like, this is what I use. And I gave her Booking Koala and I see her in the groups. So I was just like, oh, everyone's using it now.
It's growing quite quickly. And seeing your competitors using the same software that you have, now it's coming down to price. And even with price, you're all potentially within a couple dollars an hour of each other. So now, how do you stand out from your competition when websites, booking is all the same? Now it's personality, your providers that you hire, going the extra mile with them and making sure that their experience with you when they hire you is great, and then locking them down as quickly as possible for that recurring service.
Yeah. And one thing I will say I do a lot now is I will send someone pictures of our work. So if they're saying, hey, I have a move out, oh, you're too expensive. And I'm saying, we may be expensive, but look what you're going to get. You're going to get that deposit back because look at these pictures, you can eat off these floors, so they're like, okay, yeah, this looks good. I want that, so I'm trying to find different ways to kind of wheel them in quicker before they shop around and find somebody else that's less expensive. And then also what helps is by me saying that we are licensed, bonded, and insured. Because most of the homes that we deal with now are, you know they're $1 million homes, because I live in Charlotte, so I'm going to get, the basketball players, I'm going to get the football players, the judges, that's the clientele that we kind of get right now. And when I tell them that we're licensed and bonded and insured, that's like an extra layer of security for them. So they know like their home is protected. I also let them know that these cleaners are vetted. I'm not just pulling people, off of next door. Like we're doing background checks. So no one's going in this house, this $1 million house, just off oh, they look good. No, we need to make sure you're completely vetted before I feel safe that you're in someone's home. So they see that, and I push that along with pictures, and then it's like a win-win. Do I get them all? No. Would I want to? Yeah. But it doesn't work like that too. So I don't have all good days, but it works out.
Do you also do NDAs with higher end clientels that, I mean, maybe they'll bring it to you, but do you also offer it first?
We broke up again. I'm sorry.
Do you offer NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, to your higher end clientele, for yourself as well as the customer and the provider?
No, no. I haven't even thought about that. Honestly, they're my biggest referrals, which I respect. And I think because again, most of them I kind of do from the salon. So I think because we already had that relationship, it's like a trust is already built. And then
Okay.
the salon owner that I work with, she's very trusted in the community. So I think if she refers someone, then everyone's like, okay, because everybody really trusts her too. So they're like, okay, if she's referring, it's fine. And I love the fact that the referrals just keep coming in. So
So your main marketing is referrals and word of mouth.
yes, yes, yeah, for sure.
Do you do anything else?
Uh-oh.
Do you do any other marketing besides word of mouth?
Yeah, I'll just kind of post whatever flyer my daughter makes in Facebook groups or on Nextdoor, but I'm not paying for I have not paid for any ads yet. I am now looking into SEO and also looking to probably upgrade my Booking Koala platform because I think right now we're on the not the starter but the mid-tier one. I'm thinking about upgrading it so that we can utilize more of the other features like the marketing side, the hiring, and I think there was another the leads definitely the leads I want to be able to have access to that as well, so that's all gonna come. I'm a little comfortable right now and I hear my sister saying don't get ahead, but I know eventually we want to probably turn it up just a little bit, so that may come next year.
If you're going to start turning on the ads, I would suggest, and I might come off as biased, but you would might want to upgrade the subscription first, know all the features, have all that locked down. Because if you're already rolling this great with just word of mouth and Nextdoor and Facebook groups, if you turn on paid ads and they catch on quickly, you're gonna you're gonna be playing catch up then. So
Okay, that's good
that's
advice.
some a little bit of advice I could give. Again, I'm biased being with the company. Um, but yeah, I know that if you're comfortable now, maybe now would be the time that you and your daughter could sit together and learn all these different modules in the higher tier, get that all solidified, and then start getting into the paid ads. Or one of you does one side of that and the other one does the marketing. And then you guys could do it simultaneously.
That's a good idea because I think I did, not I think, I know I did. I did move to the platform at one point, and I didn't have time to sit and learn everything. And I felt like I was wasting money because I wasn't utilizing all the features. So I kicked it back down to the middle tier. But I think, we need to up it because my daughter actually just implemented a new nonprofit that's going to be, we kind of already rolled it out a little bit, but I know once she starts pushing that a little bit more, we're going to need the lead capture to be able to capture some of those leads. And then we also have brand ambassadors. So we do have people that we offer just like a standard cleaning to, and what they do is they're my eyes and ears. So if something does pop up in a Facebook group that I don't see or on Nextdoor, they're the ones that we offer cleaning services to for free if they just kind of let people know, hey, try this company. So we do have like 3 brand ambassadors right now, and but that just started this month.
I love that. That's a good approach to take. So your brand keeps spreading positively when you
Hmm.
can't be everywhere at once.
Hmm.
This one's always tricky, especially with your daughter being your business partner now. How are the two of you maintaining a healthy work life balance, working 12 hours ahead of where your business is?
It's not healthy. It's not. Um, it's I can't even elaborate on that. I don't sleep. And that's a terrible thing. And I'm constantly, like I said, my brain is either trying to move, trying to see, what we can do next. How can we can fix this? What area we can do that better? And my daughter, she does have her own career. She's, doing this. She's helping me, and she has said, eventually she may want to just come on full time with me, but she can't leave her job that she's had for a few years now. But we don't. I think she sleeps well. I don't, because I'm just constantly worried about what's going on. And then that's when my husband kind of comes into play, and he's like, let's take a trip, get off the phone, let's have some set hours, because I also want to make sure that there's some quality time spent with him. I don't want to always be, working or worried about the business. And I know I'm only worried because I'm so far from it. I can't touch it, if something happens, and if my daughter is in a meeting with her job, I can't pull her out of her job and say, hey, get downtown and do X, Y, and Z. So yeah, we need to work on that. So that's actually a really good question and something I need to prioritize.
Being home now in Texas with family, it's probably giving you some of that R&R that you need. And before you get into a very hectic next chapter, again, moving to a completely new country for several more years, it'll probably give you a little bit more time now to be like, okay, a little bit of a game plan. Expand here. It'll be rough. Maybe hire another office staff member and then make sure to relax and enjoy it, because that's what it's all about. It's trying to buy your time back with the business. It's enjoying what you've created.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that sometimes the joy gets taken out of it because I am somewhat overwhelmed. And there's another friend of mine, Poyette Noel. She and I started the same cohort together. And so I did a one-on-one session with her too. And I knew Poyette before cleaning business came in. And I see how she travels. And I'm just like, how does she do it? And she's like, I prioritize my self-care. I get these trips in, and I'm like, I want to be able to do that, but I'm still so hands-on with so much. Even though my daughter does a lot, I'm still so hands-on, and I know I need to hire. And she tells me, she's like, you got to hire help, you got to delegate, you got to get more hands-on so that you can step away, you got to release some of that control. um and that's another thing that I'm going to work on, so that will definitely help with the work-life balance.
Virtual assistants are amazing. Great. They
Yes.
help with so much, and they're adapted to work the different hours as well. So once you get to that point, I know hiring somebody as a virtual assistant will be great. Also, Poyette, loved interviewing her. That was one of my favorite interviews I did. I remember it was actually two parts because her story was so interesting that we kept talking and talking. I'm like, this is going to be, I think the interview was like 4 hours in total.
Oh
And
my God.
we broke it up into two separate episodes. And next time you speak with her, tell her I say hello and I hope she's doing well.
I will. She's killing it. She is absolutely killing it. I adore her. I met her in 2016. So I knew her. I met her through a mutual friend, and went on birthday trips with her. Like, she is an amazing person. Business, definitely an industry leader. I always call on her, and I'm like, hey girl, I know, you're busy, and she's always responsive. You name it. She's a very, very, just a good human person, just a good
Yes.
human being. So I adore her, and I wish her nothing but the best.
I might have to reach out to her myself and get a update interview with her and see how she's doing. Two
Please
years, I
do.
think 2 years now. It's been since we
Wow,
did the original interview.
that would be dope because she's doing some things.
All right, I will definitely have to do that. A couple more questions here. Where do you see your business in the next 5 to 10 years? Where would you like it to be?
So I definitely want us to expand. I'm also thinking about a name change as well, because the expansion that I'm looking to do is going to, definitely is going to have a residential side to it, but I seem to love commercial a little bit better. And so there's other things that I want to incorporate into the business that I think the name does not fit. So first thing first is going to be probably a name change. don't know what that's going to look like, but I definitely see us going the government, contracting, getting some local state government contracting. I already kind of delved into that, getting some of our certifications, expanding. I have people constantly saying, are you opening up in Connecticut? I'm originally from Connecticut, and they're constantly asking, are you opening one up in Connecticut? And we're finally, our final resting place, not resting place like in heaven, but where we get our, once my husband retires, is going to be Texas. And so people are asking, are you going to open, something in Texas? And so probably another location will open up. So definitely expanding, definitely bringing on, and I may even do like a hybrid. I may bring on some employees instead
Okay.
of having just completely the subcontractor route. Just so I can have just a tiny bit more control. um, but I think
Maybe towards
that would be good.
maybe towards the commercial side, having them employees.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that because
That
I
way they
know
can
just
do the uniform and do more branding wise towards that side. And it's a little, I feel
oh
like
that's
from people that I've spoke to, it's a little bit easier to do the employee model commercially.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay. That's actually really good. I'll put that in my notes to do because that definitely would help out a lot. And even with like the contracting, the government contracting, a lot of them don't want subcontractors. They want employees. So
Yep.
that's something else to consider as well. And that's where the money is.
Yeah. Um, technology. How big a role has tech played in the business since you started 5 years ago?
Huge, huge, and it's only gonna get bigger. Thank God I'm married to an IT nerd because I'm constantly like, babe, help! Can you do this? Can you fix this? Because it moves so fast. Every day it's something changing. My daughter, she's young, so she can keep up with all these different changes. But AI is just like totally changing the game, and so I definitely want to, learn more about it so that I can keep up and not get lost in the sauce and have, all I just want to take advantage of everything that's out there, every tool. And so whether that's, taking some courses or whatever I need to do just to make the business better, to make the website better. I just want the experience to be good for the company and with the results, good for us as well. So it's definitely changed.
And when you started the business, did you use how long have you been using Booking Koala? Did you start with us or were you with a different software?
I was with Launch 27 when I first started, and I think I was with Launch 27 for a year before I moved over to Booking Koala. Yeah. Um, I became really, I'm gonna say friends, but Facebook friends with this gentleman by the name of Roger. I think he was on Launch 27 when I first met him, and then he moved over to Booking Koala. And I was just having so many issues at that time, and he was always available to kind of like help me. And then I saw that most of the people that I was in a cohort with, they moved over to Booking Koala. So I was a little hesitant to change, but I know I was having challenges too with the system. And so I made the switch over, and Roger, he definitely like he helped me set everything up because I'm not that girl. So he set everything up for me and got it going and looking, pretty, and it's working. And even like to this day, if I call him and or send him a message and I'm like, hey, can you, look at this and help me with this, he's always like readily available to assist. I know I should be using the support, but
Love Roger. Huge shout out to Roger. He's
yes.
great. Talk to him all the time as well. We honestly probably couldn't have expanded as much as we did without his help. He was a huge help. So big shout out to Roger. A little
Absolutely.
harder question for me to ask. But with what happened in March and April, a little bit with the outage, how did that affect your business and how did you overcome those challenges?
So it did impact us because for a while people weren't able to book. But I think my take on it, was I frustrated? Yes, because of course you're paying for a service, you want the service to work. That's the expectation.
Absolutely.
But I kind of look at it like, as a business owner, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be, a system break here and there. Things are not going to always be 100% perfect. So if someone actually reached out to me and said, I can't book, then I would just call the customer and do it on the back end and take care of it. And I'm a little bit of a control freak. So I never had that issue of not being able to see my bookings because I incorporated my bookings with Google Calendar. So I always had Google Calendar to see what bookings were coming up. And in each one of my bookings, I would always copy and paste whatever the detail cleaning details were from Booking Koala into Google. So I was never without, I kind of like had a backup system. So I never was like without information. I already had my customer list imported or downloaded. So I was impacted, but I wasn't impacted to the point where I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm so pissed off. I'm going to move. I'm going to, talk to this company. I didn't have that energy because to me moving just would have been a bigger headache, and who's to say that the company you move to they won't have the same issue. So I saw the complaints, I saw people, carrying on, and I get it, it impacts different people for different reasons. I wasn't
Absolutely.
paying, I wasn't paying for marketing, so it didn't impact me. So but I do, feel for people that it did, impact. I just wasn't, in that in that circle. So no, I didn't ask for credit because I'm like, I didn't really feel like there was a major impact. Were there customers that visited my site that probably just got turned away because they couldn't get on? I'm sure of it, but I'll get it back. I always say, I'm never going to miss what God has for me. So if there was someone that came on that couldn't get on, there's going to be another customer that comes on or two customers that are going to come back. And again, I don't miss what God has for me. That's just
I
my
love
way
that
of living.
thing. I think I might steal that and incorporate that in my life. It was a rough time for everybody, our customers especially. I to this day, every time I speak face to face with one of our customers, I always ask so I know how it impacted, and so that we know for the future how we can move along and make things better.
And if anything, it teaches people to have a backup. Again, I'm married to an IT nerd, so I have backups on top of backups on top of backups. So just it kind of just lets you know that anything can happen. It could happen with you, it can happen with anyone. I do appreciate the communication that you had. I never felt that you did not communicate, but again, my situation is different from everyone else's. But I did appreciate you guys coming forward, saying, even telling us, guys, do this, do that. You had people on the back end. I forgot. I spoke with someone named Vivek. I can't think of his name.
Yes,
He was able to, fix whatever glitches. And I'm not techie, so whatever he had to fix, I contacted him. He fixed it. So again, I just followed what was going on and listened to what you guys. I trust you guys. I trust the platform. It hasn't failed me in what 4 years. So I'm not going to turn my back and walk away off of one situation. That's just me though.
we love that, and we appreciate you sticking with us through incredibly hard time. Um, Couple last questions, software related. What's one feature that you can't live without?
I'm sorry.
What's one feature in the software that you can't live without?
Hiring. Hiring. I love it. Um, I use it every day. I have a link when I send out things for Indeed or on Craigslist. It goes right there. It's just the ease of the onboarding. And using subcontractors, you gotta always hire. So it's definitely something that I cannot live without it. Can't live.
Excellent. Flip side to that question, what's one feature you wish we had?
Ooh. Um, One feature I wish. I wish there was, and maybe there is, but is there an app for the actual owners? I know there's an app for
There is not.
providers,
Not
but I
yet.
do wish there was an I do wish there was an app for us. um that would make things a lot easier, I believe.
We're working towards that. And that is, I know it's been on the radar for our people have been asking about it for several years, and we know how important it is. So we're trying to make sure we give you guys the best possible option with that, just because when it is time to update apps, when you're a software company and you have thousands of apps that need to be updated, it gets tricky. So we've been
Mm,
navigating that space and trying to figure out what's the best way for you as customers to have that. Um,
okay.
and my final question, a little lighthearted one: what advice would you give to your 10-year-old self?
Oh, I would, oh, no one's ever asked me that. I would say continue to keep God first and take risks. We only get one shot at this life, and just take some risks and always bet on yourself. I know there's been many times where I kind of doubted myself, actually, even more most recently. I used to say, "Oh, I own a little company." And my sister was like, "You've made over a $500,000. That's not little." That's not little. You started from this and now you're here. And so just believe in yourself and keep going, and surround yourself with good people who believe in you, people who will support you, and people who trust you, and everything else will just go in line.
I love that. Melinda, thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time and sharing your wonderful story. I hope you get some rest and time with your family. I hope your mom does well in her recovery. And again,
Thank you.
thank you for everything.
And thank you for this opportunity. I am so sorry we did the whole cat and mouse trying to set this up, but I'm glad we were able to finally sit down with one another and have this opportunity. So I appreciate it very much. And for offering to send this short to my daughter. She would be so ecstatic.
Of course. And to everybody watching, thank you for another episode of the Qualified Podcast. We'll see you next time.